You're the expert. I just work here. Looks pretty solid.
I just work here.
Listen, I just work here.
I didn't pick you. I just work here.
Guys, welcome to I Just Work Here. I'm your host, Jesse James. I got my co-host, Drew Hollway, with me.
Oh, hello.
Our guest today is Andrew Youngblood.
Hey!
And as always, we have Brandon Clements working sound for us. What's up, Brandon?
Hello.
Brandon, how do you say your last name? Is that right?
Yeah, what's
have you been
the
saying?
alternative?
How did you?
He said
No.
Clements?
How have you been saying it?
Clements.
Oh, that's not it. There's
Clements?
no emphasis.
I've always said Clements.
Yeah.
Brennan Clements.
What? No
Yeah.
way. That's
Brandon
I don't
Clements.
like that.
That's good. Is it French?
I'm gonna keep going with it.
I don't
It's
know.
like there's more than one Clement.
Clements.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Clements.
plural.
That's pretty good.
All right, well, welcome to the show, Andrew.
Sorry.
You're fine. You're fine. What we're going to do is
I have a
we're
hard
gonna
time
interview
not-
you for a door job here at the Secret Group.
Nah.
We know you've been
I don't
looking
wanna
for
do
work.
that.
We know you've been looking for work. You've been hard up for a while. You've been trying to get in here at the club.
If I ever have to work as the door person here, I'll kill myself. Nothing against our door people, but that's just
Honestly,
such a
that's
fall.
more incentive to hire you.
Yeah.
That's just, you've got the job.
Look,
That's it right now. Who has a gun?
Nothing against the door person, just against like the ownership and management of the club.
Yeah.
All right, man. We're going to talk about work today. What's the first job you ever had?
Wendy's. Worked at Wendy's. I was 15 years old in Manville, Texas, and
Hell yeah.
and I learned some little secrets about Wendy's that makes me not want to eat them.
What secrets?
Like the lettuce at the end of the night. There's no way they still do this, but you put all the extra lettuce, you put it in a big old mixing bowl, you put a top on it, and you put some water in it, and you put a little cap full of bleach. Because it stops it from going brown. I swear to God, at least at this one.
Yeah, you have to disinfect the lettuce.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
actually trash.
Yeah, you
have
put
to
a
clean
little
the lettuce.
tiny cap full of bleach in it, and then they would store it overnight. And I wasn't ever in the morning shift, so I'm assuming they rinsed it all off afterwards. But it stopped it from, just wilting a couple extra days.
You can consume a little bit of bleach.
As a treat.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You want to get it inside of you because it helps fight the COVID.
I don't know-
That's what you want to do with the bleach.
I don't know if you remember this, but there was a rumor. There's this kid in high school named
That's a really silly name.
You'll know these guys' names. The Prescotts.
Yeah. Oh,
So-
boy. The
so-
Prescotts.
so there was
5 brothers.
the
Each one of
toughest-
them bigger and tougher than the fucking last
the crazy. And listen, one of them's like on death row or something. One's murdered.
one. Well,
one's-
he's on death row because he avenged his other brother who got murdered for threatening a guy at
Yeah,
a
yeah.
bar.
That's real.
It's
That's real.
Well, I
pretty
think-
fucking wild.
PEMDAS.
I heard that he got all right. So his brother died because they all went to a party. He was like beating a guy with a wrench, and then someone pulled
Yeah.
out a gun and like killed him.
Basically,
right?
yeah.
And so then he avenged his death, and that's why he's now in jail.
on death row. Right,
But
right.
these Pat Prescott was the older. What was the younger one? The stockier.
The one we were buddies with was Richie. He was the youngest.
No.
one, but Richie
Okay,
was the good
middle.
sweet kid. There was Pat, James, Will, Richie.
Pat was the
Pat was the one our age who
When I-
played for the Bath Rams.
when
football.
when I was a kid, I remember hearing this in high school and totally believing that Pat was so tough that but he also did a bunch of drugs. That to pass a drug test, he drank a bunch of bleach, and that like cleared it up. And I remember that as like a thing. And I was like, yeah, dude, that dude fucking drank bleach. And someone's like, how'd he do that? And I go, He drank milk first, and that's why I got fucked with it.
he ate a bunch of lettuce.
He's like, hey man, you pissed hot for bleach, which
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
illegal, but we're still not hiring
You don't want your inside to wilt.
Oh, wow. Anything else notable at Wendy's, man? Any other secrets? of
Not
the trade?
really, man. The free Frosties were dope. That was pretty cool. And then I remember I wasn't fast enough for the drive-thru. Fucking amateur. I wasn't fast enough for the drive-thru. Like I remember being on the radio, just doing money. And I was about 15. I was more nervous than anything else. And I heard this fucking fat, stupid bitch lady who was my boss, and she was like talking loud to other employees, like, if you can't figure out how to count fast enough, then we got to move them. And I was like, this fucking piece of shit, dude. And
You're struggling with just the counting. You had the talking down, but you can't.
well,
handle the
yeah,
number part.
I was just the money exchange person, you know. But yeah, I didn't have that job long. I mean, I think I probably had that job a month in my life.
Do you remember how you left that job?
Yeah, I just didn't show up.
That was it.
That's basically
Just
it.
no
dude.
call, no show.
Pretty much. I was 15. I don't, you know.
So
when
what
you don't
you-
have a cell phone, how do you even call?
Landline, right? When you were 15, that would have been in the 80s.
Yeah, I don't even know if my dad had a landline. My dad he had like a.
You had to send a telegram.
He might have had a cell phone back
You had to
then.
drive to work and quit in person.
He had a
Hand them an
beeper.
unmarked envelope. Read this after I leave.
He had a beeper for sure.
Your dad was a drug dealer?
No, AC
Why else would you
man.
need a beeper?
AC man.
Oh.
So like they would like beep.
How do you know that wasn't a money laundering cover?
Because I'd work with him in the summer.
How do you know he wasn't using you to launder his money?
It'd be pretty wild.
Muling you out?
It'd be pretty wild if he's like, well, it'd be pretty wild
Hey,
if he had
don't
any
look
money
in
to
your butt
launder.
today, son.
He had no money.
Oh, no? The AC business wasn't going that well?
It was fine, but he's a gambler.
You
so
just mentioned you worked with your dad doing HVAC?
Yeah,
I had no clue. How long did you do that?
every summer since I was like 12.
Every summer since you were 12.
Basically.
When did it
Yeah.
stop?
What were you doing when you were 12 for an HVAC company?
It's the same shit I did when I was 17. I basically held my dad's tool belt, and he's like, "Get me this tool," and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And then I was like, "Here it is," and he goes, "That's a monkey wrench, you fucking asshole!" And then he'd be like, "Go out of the car," and then he'd be like, "Today you're cleaning my truck," because his truck was just a pile of everything. It was a fucking mess. So I'd have to clean it,
Do you
and then I
remember
was just
what
his
kind of
belt
truck
bitch.
it was? I just
Dude,
for the image.
Yes, it actually was a old Houston police paddy wagon.
Fuck off.
Yeah, I swear to God, it,
It
was
was a
cool.
paddy wagon?
It had fucking benches in the back on the side, like it was like a 1980s paddy wagon. You could still see Houston police, but it had been pulled off, and it was like the light blue with the white.
That's how he got all of his help for,
was
for the
pretty
company.
fucking nuts,
Hop in, guys. Hop in the back.
No, dude, he was
just pulled up to Home Depot and loaded up real quick.
That's exactly what happened.
No, he did
I
not.
swear to God,
He
we would
pulled up to Home
we would
Depot
pull
and
up,
load
we
up
would
the
pull up,
paddy wagon.
and he'd be like, I need 2 or 3 or however many. They'd all hop in the back, and then after a while, he had some regulars,
Mm-hmm.
and they would all just like talk shit in Spanish about him, and I
Does your
learned
dad speak
like
Spanish?
chingala tu madre, like pero, like I basically learned all the cuss words in Spanish, and that's about it.
Why didn't they like your dad?
He's the boss man. No one likes the boss man. No one likes their boss. You should get that.
My dad, my dad likes his boss, but he likes everybody.
Yeah, but your dad, and I'm assuming he still works at the same fucking city
I'm
of
sure.
Prosper, right?
No, he doesn't work for the city. He's back in Farmington where he worked when we were kids.
Yeah. But your dad was like the plow guy. His dad used to plow my road, which
Don't ever say that about my father.
which
again.
is a handsome man.
Yeah, my dad went up your street a few times.
Oh
I
yeah,
remember that
dude.
when we were
Yep.
kids.
I remember,
out.
but I remember when the plow guy would come, I would go outside because it was his dad. I'd be like,
And every time my dad would pretend not to know who
yeah.
you
He's
were.
like, I think your friend's retarded. but
Yeah.
there's not. We lived in the country. There wasn't a lot going on.
No, that was a big event. Usually you went out on Sundays to watch the plow
Watch the-
come out.
watch the plow come.
Go up your road.
No, you know what?
Praying
You know
for
what it
snow
was.
this
Did the
week.
plowman
The weird
play
weeks were when it
music
didn't
like the
snow.
ice cream
The weird
truck?
weeks are when it didn't snow at all. It was just tearing up the grass for an hour.
We would have to wait for the plow sometimes because it wasn't always your dad, but most of the time I think it was.
It was
for a while.
often my dad for your
But
area.
but here's why I had to do it is because you'll remember this is we had the big road, right?
Old Hubbard Road.
Yeah, which was officially a street road, and then it ends, and then there was like another 50 yards to my house that was like a slightly more incline.
Right,
And
right,
so
right.
with your dad, we could get him to plow that. Right?
Gotcha.
And with anyone else, not really.
You know how good
And
my dad
so-
was at fucking plowing, dude? Other guys quit halfway through. My dad
Yeah.
will drive
He
right
goes,
to your house.
your dad
and
plowed
views.
about an extra 50 yards deep.
Stop. If my dad ever hears you raving about his plowing ability, dude.
What do you mean by, yeah, this was the road, and this road was the street, but then there was another road?
Oh, yeah. I guess it
So,
only makes
well,
sense to him.
the road-
You get
the
it.
way
but,
the road
What
worked-
makes a road a street?
Okay, the
It
road used to
ended.
be an entire road called Hubbard Road that connected Andrews Road to the road I lived on.
Yeah.
But at some point, people fucked off and stopped taking care of part of it.
Because
so that became a
because no one
trail.
lived on it. It didn't make any sense. It
Yeah.
ended up becoming just like a trail that you could walk on through the woods.
Right,
These
but
are
you can
dirt
still see
roads.
part of the roads. And so where Andrew's actual house was between where the old road wasn't And where the rest of the road was, there's like a little gap that's his driveway. Technically, it's just part of the old road.
But
Yeah,
it's-
yeah.
but for all intents and purposes, it's just the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
about it.
I think that's
Dude, he
accurate.
lived. So I lived down here. He lived on a hill, and we'd go to his house, and then we'd fucking sled down the road to my house.
Yeah, we could take the sled down.
We didn't go to his house as much because it was just
Well,
uphill.
it was uphill. It had nothing to do with my 9 siblings at all. It was just because it was uphill.
It's purely
All right.
logistics.
So we got as far as Wendy's. You did a little bit of HVAC work for your dad. Have you ever quit on your dad?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Uh-huh.
I would quit. I'd be like, I quit right now, and he's like, I'll drop you off right here downtown Houston. I was
Did you
like,
ever do it?
No. Yeah, but I mean, he was. My dad was. He would do this thing though, where like, he'd be like, hey, you guys want to go to the beach today? Because he had like a job in Galveston, and he would just drop me and my little sister. I think I was like 11, maybe 12. She was fucking 10 maybe, and he would just drop us off at the beach at like 9 a.m. He's like, all right, I'll be back at 6. Just leave our asses there, dude. I remember one time he dropped us off at the beach. I go swimming, instantly get fucking stung by a jellyfish. Instantly. And then I'm like crying, and I'm like, fuck, this hurts. And then I kind of heard pee helps, and I was like, I don't have enough pee. I'm like, sister, piss on my leg. She's like, I'm not peeing on your leg. And I was like, and then I finally pissed on it and buried it in the sand, and it pee actually doesn't help at all. That's that's what you learn. And then so I buried it in the sand for like 4 or 5 hours. I had fucking
Your leg. I don't know why I'm picturing you pissing on the jellyfish and then burying it in the
Yeah,
sand.
that's
It's like, no wonder that wouldn't
it's
help
a
at all.
dominance thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll make
I'll
you feel
show
a little bit
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
I promise.
And so I finally feel a little bit better 5 hours later, and I was like, fuck it, I'll go back in the water. Walk back in, I get stung again. Instantly, dude. Yeah.
Wait,
Oh my God.
wait, hold on. So pee doesn't work, but burying it in the sand works?
I think, you know what it is? I think just essentially stopping oxygen from getting
okay.
to it is what it just I don't know if it helped it, but I think it helped it not sting. You know what I mean? So, and also I think just time, 5 hours of sitting there, you know.
Yeah, that'll do.
But also I was just a fucking kid. You guys got to get off your fucking phones here.
Yeah, I know. It's almost like we're at work right now. People are trying to make deliveries. So we got somebody trying to make a delivery right now. Did your dad ever fire you?
We got in fights.
Yeah.
We got into fights where he's like, I'm not working with you anymore. And I'll be like, I never want to work with you.
Did you ever think about like taking over the company and following your dad's footsteps?
No,
At all?
my
Just
dad,
never
my
a
brother
thought?
did. My brother did. It was different. You know, it's different when your brother is a junior. You know what I mean? When your brother is named after your dad, you're like, well, you definitely don't love me as much.
Who's your
Like,
brother?
You know, Glenn. Yeah. So I think when your brother's a junior, you're like, well, he's gonna follow in the footsteps. You know,
Did you ever think about unionizing?
with my family.
Yeah, just in general, just
Nah,
yourself.
I mean,
at
I'm in a
work.
group chat with them and I hate it. It's like, I don't know, unionizing. We couldn't agree on anything. There's
Yeah.
no way.
What do you hate about being in a group chat with him?
Well, now it's if we're getting honest, now it's just sad talk. We don't hit each other up on birthdays. We don't do any of that shit. Father's Day and Mother's Day, we usually get a thing like "Happy Father's Day, everybody," and that's my sister. And then we do the Mother's Day. That like other than that, it's like Dad got a UTI. He's in the hospital. He's dying, and we're like, oh no. And then we're like, what hospital? And then we call the hospital. My dad doesn't fucking remember who I am, and then it's
Sounds like a lot of fun.
I know. So our
Yeah.
group chat, it's all just like every time someone says something in it, I go fuck. Like I just know something.
Something bad's
I
gonna
know
happen.
it's like what are we gonna do with Dad? He doesn't want to be in the home anymore. He can't live with any of us. And in my head, I'm like, you're the junior. So
So Glenn's one step closer. To
he is.
taking
Well,
over
he
the
also, you
HVAC
know,
empire.
you didn't know my brother.
I didn't
really,
know him. I saw some
because he
pictures
lived.
of him
He
growing
lived
up,
with my
but I
dad.
didn't- right. I knew
He lived
your
with
sister and you,
exactly.
but I didn't know
So
your
he lived with
dad.
my dad. So he's closer, and he my dad raised him basically.
Do you
right?
know why he went with your dad and you and Sarah
Oh,
went
yeah.
with your mom?
Yeah. I know. I know the exact incident.
Can you talk about it or not?
I don't give a shit.
I'd love to. Why?
Yeah.
Why did you grow up? You and Sarah grow up in upstate New York with your mom, and Glenn grew up in Houston with your dad.
So my brother was a bully because he got bullied, right? He used to ride the bus. He used to go to the same school as us, and there's this kid named RJ who lived in the trailer park, and he used to bully my brother on the bus, like to the point where he broke my brother's arm on the bus. Like, yeah, like it was a real situation. But because he got bullied, my brother was fucking always 50 to 100 pounds more than me. He was a big dude, played football the whole nine. And he used to just beat the shit out of me. Like, big time beat the shit out of me. Like there's like brother wrestling and stuff like this, but this would be like, dude was like choking me up against the wall. And I remember in an exact moment, this is why he moved to my dad's, is because he was choking me up against the wall. My mom got up and was like, get off of him, hit him with a broom, cracked his head open, and he had to get stitches.
Wow.
And so we took him to the hospital. He had to get stitches. And then he's like, I want him to live with Dad. And if not, I'm calling CPS. And I was like, that kind of checks out. And so,
that kind of works for everybody.
Yeah.
You're
so
tired of getting your ass beat.
Yeah. And so then he moved. And that's really why he moved.
Did he do better when he moved down here? Or
Yeah, he totally did. I mean, he played football. He was good enough at football. Like, he had like college scholarships. And then senior year, like, fucking hurt something. And they're like, nah.
What do you think changed from him moving from your mom to down here?
I don't know. I think when you're a junior, right?
Yeah.
When you're a junior, like, I'm Dad's favorite. You probably think you are Dad's favorite. You're a fucking junior.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I think that, and it's, living with my mom.
So you think having a good male role model made a big difference for your brother?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that not that my mom was kind of a bitch, but she was early on, she was like, she had just had a bunch of rules. She was like a normal parent. And then she got like addicted to pills, and that all kind of went out the window. But she had a lot more rules, and my dad was pretty loose with the rules. So like,
that's kind of typical. That's pretty typical of setup at home.
Yeah. And so I think he got to kind of do whatever the heck he wanted. I remember like in high school, my dad would like buy him booze, like for him and his friends. I'd be like, "Give me booze," and he goes, "No, not doing it." And I was like, "What the fuck?" And also, here's the thing: my brother used to beat the shit out of me, and I could not beat up my brother. I think I beat him 1 out of 500 times in our childhood, and boy did I brag about that. It was just like,
it doesn't sound like you at all.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I clocked him. I was like fucking 12, and he was like 15, just beating the shit out of me. And then it was just lucky where I like swung and I like popped him in the nose. His nose started bleeding. He started crying, and I was like, and I held on to that forever.
I was about to ask, is that 110? Is that your record?
Yeah, I wish. I wish it was 1 out of 10 times, dude.
Andrew,
1 out of 500. What?
Do you think that experiences like that ultimately did they make you funnier? Like maybe not even now, but at the time, do you find that you maybe had to be like
I think
quicker?
Yeah, I think that was one of the issues. I wasn't innocent as a child against my brother, because my brother could beat the shit out of me, and I knew I could never win. So I just I shit on him all the time.
You learned
I
to
made fun of
antagonize him.
Yeah, I was like, fuck you. I was like,
Wow.
oh yeah, you're gonna beat the shit out of me, but you're a fat piece of shit. And
so it got to a point where you could talk shit without thinking about the consequences.
well, because I was just getting beat up all the time, so I was
Yeah,
like, I'm gonna get beat up
definitely.
anyway.
Right,
so I was
right.
like, let me just mention how nobody in school likes you, you loser.
Yeah.
So.
Huh.
So I would push his buttons, but I was getting my ass beat, so I was like, I'll just keep it, whatever. It was like my little victory. But I remember pushing his buttons for
Right,
sure.
for sure.
But I knew an ass beating was coming. So.
When he moved, did you miss him at all?
No,
Not at
I hate
all.
his guts. As an adult, we've gone out and had a couple beers together and stuff like that. But we're not close, man. The last time we were in the same building was his wife's a Lady Gaga fan, and so I was at Lady Gaga, and we had like me and my buddy, we had like hookups. He knows one of the dancers, so we were like badass seats. And my brother I'm posting on my story. My brother sees it, and he's like, hey man, you think you can get me down there? I go, no, but hey, afterwards, let's go to Dirt Bar and have a drink. I haven't seen you in years. I'd love to catch up. And he's like, I can't do that. And I was like, motherfucker, what a piece of shit. Like, we're in the same building. You haven't seen me in years. So family isn't, I love my direct family.
Yeah.
But I don't have any real attachments to my family.
I think
it'll be tough.
I think that's something we probably shared since a young age. Other than like my dad,
Yeah,
I
you
haven't
love
been
your dad.
super close with my family. Well, yeah, I love my dad, But other than that, I haven't been super close with anybody in my family. And
Yeah,
I'm
I love my
still,
dad, but I've just never been close with anybody.
Yeah, and the same thing you just said about my sisters could be in the same town. We're not going to meet up and talk about what? Talk about how we didn't hang out the last 30 years? For what?
Yeah.
What's the point?
I think eventually, everyone says this, so I think it's in my head because people are like, you should make amends with your mom and do that, and I'm like,
Are you and her
Yeah,
at
me too.
odds? Because your mom is a really interesting character.
I haven't talked to her in 5 years.
in 5 years. So I've
She
talked
leaves
to your mom
voicemails
more,
every once in a
I've
while.
spoke to your mom more recently.
She's
than
probably
you spoke to
messaged
your
you
mom.
about. Dude, she messages
And you've
people.
talked to my mom more recently than so you need to call Drew's mom right now to keep the circle going.
No, I don't want to talk to Drew's
Yeah.
mom.
Uh,
She's
It's just Drew with a wig.
so after,
That's all it is.
after your brother left and went down to Texas, it was just you living with your mom. What'd you do for like side money? How'd you make side money and make shit happen?
I didn't really have any money.
No?
There was no side money. There was no side money. Because
Well, because I know you grew
what-
up poor, so how did you do
We're-
anything?
I had friends that I remember, like, Cody would be like, I got you, like
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And I did eventually get a job once I got like a license, right? But like where I lived, I could maybe convince my mom to give me $20 if I like did a ton of fucking like clean for 30 hours or something like
Gotcha.
that, But overall, I was at the mercy of your parents, and we were poor, so asking them for money was like, my mom. When I was like teenager and up, my mom was addicted to pills. So I would ask her to do stuff when she was fucked up on purpose. So this has become just a fucking sad childhood podcast. This has nothing to do with jobs at all. But I would take advantage of her in that aspect where I'd be like, hey, can I go do this? And she'd be like, I don't care.
So what you
And then fall back asleep, and then she would call me and be like, "Where the fuck are you?" Like 2 days later, and I'd be at like Tom's house or my girlfriend's house, and I was like, "I'm at so and so's," and she's like, "Why? Who the fuck said you?" I go, "You said," and she'd be like, "Oh, okay," and because she knew she was fucked up, so
Yeah.
she had no, she couldn't fucking say anything.
Okay, well, once
I'd steal the car. I'd take the car and shit.
Once you did get your license and you did get a car, what was the next job that you had?
Village Tavern
Village Tavern in
in
Naples?
Hammondsport.
Oh, in Hammondsport. What
Right
did
on
you
the
do at
lake,
Village
dude.
Tavern.
I started off as dishwashing, and then I was waiter.
And you were a waiter?
Yeah.
How long did you hold that job for?
I don't know. It was like a summer gig.
Anything notable happen?
No, not at all.
Is that how you met that girl who had the lake house in Hammondsport?
I don't know what girl.
The one
you're
we
talking
went and
about.
rode jet skis with?
I don't remember this.
Yeah,
at all.
anyways.
My memory is so fucking
That's
bad.
all right.
I remember I have 8 memories. That's all I've
All right,
got.
let's list them off. What's the
That's all-
first one?
No, I don't know. My mom doing pills.
All right.
I'm
so that's
really
7
trying
of them.
hard
What's
to
the last one?
That was
All right,
all.
well,
Yeah, that was all 8 of them.
Instead of leading you, I'm just going to ask a question that I've been wanting to ask for a while. When did you start booking shows? Because like the first show I ever went to was.
Well, we're skipping. I got gems in there.
You got
so
gems in
let's
there?
run through. If it sucks, I'll be like, move on.
All right.
I got
got your gems?
There's one job in there I quit 3 times.
Uh-huh.
And they just keep having me back because that's how shitty it is
Okay.
to work there.
Yeah, I know how that is.
Village Tavern. All right, what's your next job?
Well, list it. Let's go.
You want me to just
I
list
can't
them all?
remember. Yeah, and I'll be like, this
how about
one
you
sucks.
interview? How about you
No,
interview
come on.
yourself during the
All right,
interview?
we're at the Village Tavern.
All right,
We had grilled cheese. That was cool.
right. Is there anything else you want to talk about the Village Tavern?
Nah. But I did. You know what? I did. My favorite. I didn't like being a waiter there. I did like washing the dishes because you get to hang out with the kitchen staff.
Right.
And so then they'd be like, Andrew, what do you want for your meal? And they'd be like, I'm gonna cook you up the best grilled cheese you ever had. And there'd be like 8 grilled cheeses, bacon, ham.
Why
and
did
just
you do
fucking-
that accent? Who was that?
He was
Who was
a Cajun guy from Hammondsport. I don't know, dude.
Oh yeah, the Cajun.
In my head, he was smoking a cigarette. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I
definitely.
don't remember his name, but I remember it being like a shady character, and I remember being like, "Man, it's cool back here."
This is cool. All right, next job we have
Like
is
we weren't
the-
allowed up front. It felt like, and then once I got up front, they're like, "Ooh, boss man." I was like, "I'm just the waiter." Like,
Is this next one on your resume? Is this the place you worked, or is this describing what happened? The Gap.
oh yeah. No,
Is this a gap in your resume?
Nothing great about that. I do have one story I was the guy folding in the back. Back in my day, they would not let me up front of anything. They're like, you're in the back, dude. And so I would have to come in at 6 and just fold everything and put it. It was the fucking worst job ever. And then finally I convinced them to let me up front. And they'd always yell at me. They're like, stop leaning on the counter and shit like that. They're like, you got to go up and sell people. And so this old black couple come in. Dude, I start selling. I'm selling him everything, dude. He's wearing I sold him a fedora with a matching jacket with a fucking, everything. We're talking $1,000 at the Gap. That's a lot. Well, they wrote a hot check. So it was a hot check. And it fucking sucked. Yeah, the
Did
one
you still
people.
get the sales credit for that?
No, I don't get that fucking no.
When did you find out? Like a few days later?
Yeah, they were like,
you aside
they're like, hey man, that was a good job the other day, but just so you know,
you're never
like,
coming out of the back again, ever.
So.
It's exactly why you're in the back, Andrew. You don't have front of the house mentality.
I remember I was not great at sales back then. And so I remember, like, I was like, oh, look at this fedora. That kind of matches that. Mm-hmm. And then he goes, oh, man, that's great. And then I was like, really? Like, I was like surprised. Whenever I suggested something, I was like, I can't believe this is working.
Yeah. Was there any punishment for the bounce check? I mean,
not for me. No. What are you going to do? Okay. You know?
Anything else notable happened there?
Nah, not really. I tried to work. I met my friend Shelby. We worked at the same mall. That's where I met him. He worked at Hot Topic upstairs. And he made like $3 less an hour than I did. They paid like $5.50 back then. Mm-hmm. And I think I made like $8 an hour at the Gap. But I wanted to work at Hot Topic. And I applied and they go, you're overqualified. You make $8 an hour. I go, I'll take the pay cut. And they wouldn't hire me.
That's wild. You were overqualified for Hot Topic?
Yeah.
I was perfectly qualified for Hot Topic.
You
I worked as an assistant manager.
You look like an assistant manager at Hot Topic right now.
Yeah.
Were you overqualified for Hot Topic by just like having a girlfriend who was over 18?
Yeah, maybe. They also, Hot Topic has this
It was
rule.
too
One of the
hot.
other rules they said is me and Shelby were in a band at that time. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, bandmates aren't allowed to work at the same Hot Topic.
Oh, because you might take off the same day for
That's
gigs.
exactly what it is, dude. But you
Did
know
you
what?
tell them you were in literally no danger of having any gigs?
We had gigs. One time, so Shelby worked there. He was like a manager there at one point, and me and him had been playing music for a
I didn't know
while.
we're manager bros.
Where we did like 4 shows and 4 nights, and they were all at different Hot Topics around Houston. It was so fucking.
What did you play?
Oh, at that time, it was 2 of us. We just both played guitar, and then we had like beats, and we had like a fucking little drum machine.
What was
behind
the
us.
band called?
Corners.
Corners, why?
Because when we smoked weed.
Corners.
There you go. See, I told you.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you didn't think it was a thing.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, dude, when you
corners
smoke
is
weed-
Everybody stop
Corners.
saying corners. Somebody tell me what the fuck
Corners.
It's when you're smoking a bowl, you smoke one corner, and so everyone can get greens essentially.
Yeah.
Right.
You smoke weed.
You got a little
corners.
Yeah.
Corners?
Yeah, you
guys
got a
want
corner.
corners on this?
But yeah, that's why it was called Corners. Because we would just get high and watch Adult Swim, and we would smoke corners.
Yeah, I'd never heard of that in my life. No
Yeah.
idea.
Oh, it's
I thought when you're
it's like
smoking
a
a
whole.
bowl with all your friends, you just roast it as hard as you can right in the middle until you can't breathe, and then you put it down.
You've never heard of Adult Swim?
What? No, dude, I'm not allowed in the deep end. All right, so we have the Gap. Next job on this is Dollar Tree.
Oh, that's college. Nothing great there except
Canandaigua?
for I was in college, so I had 2 lip piercings. I had the same nose setup, so I had these 2, and then I had the big old plugs. And back then they were like, you can't have any of that, but you can put Band-Aids on it. So I just had fucking Band-Aids all over my fucking face. And I'm like, this is way more distracting than fucking the piercings.
I definitely remember going to see you there once when I was staying with you in Canandaigua, and I remember you had the famous Youngblood swoop. The
Oh, yeah,
girl
I had
jeans.
some-
Definitely had the girl
I had
jeans
some
on
hot
at the
hair
time.
back then.
Yeah. Girl jeans, the big swoop. I want to say it was like a bright green work shirt.
I felt like I could. I didn't have a uniform there, but I could have.
Yeah.
I feel like I could. I feel like I was allowed to wear whatever I wanted, but I had to wear like a vest. There was like a Dollar Tree vest you had to put on.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Smock. I think it's appropriately
Yeah.
a smock.
A vest if you go outside.
So did anything wild happen at that job?
No, but I worked at Walmart at the same time.
Because I feel like with the group of friends you were around at the time, they would have got you in trouble.
Nah. I remember I met girls there, and
You met girls at Dollar Tree? What kind of girls?
Dollar Tree girls.
Dollar Tree girls. You worked at Dollar Tree and at Walmart at the same time? You were double dipping the
Walmart's
pours?
now that's the job. That
were
was
double dipping the pours?
that was the job I quit 3 times and they let me back every time.
No, bullshit.
I swear to God,
Bullshit.
dude. And then finally I was like, I can't do this.
All right.
Which
Why'd you
Walmart?
quit the first time?
First time
It had to be Walmart in Canandaigua on
it wa-
Recreation Drive.
It was. I was pushing.
This is-
I was a cart pusher, right? It was me and this old man, and I was like, "This is fucking sad." And I would like see friends because it's a small college town, right? So, and I went to college there, and so you'd see people that like you knew, and it was like, "This is embarrassing." And then one day I was just like, "Fuck this! I hate this job," and I just didn't come in. And then 2 days later, I go, "Fuck! I need money," and I go, "Got my job back," and they go, "Okay, but don't do it again." And then the second time was fucking one of the worst things I've ever done. Is this guy comes in and he goes, "Hey man, you want some weed?" And I go, "Nah man, I'm good." And I'm just out there pushing cart. And pushing cart, that sounds fun.
Just the one.
Just pushing cart. Yeah,
Pushing
I would
cart.
waste. It would take me a long time. Back then, they didn't have the motorized push helpers.
Yeah.
You know, so you'd like stack 50 of those motherfuckers and be like taking turns and stuff. It's kind of fun.
So you're out there pushing cart.
I'm pushing cart. He shows up trying to push weed on me, and I go, I'm good on the weed, but you got any mushrooms? I'm looking for mushrooms. He goes, I got mushrooms. He goes, you want to give me a ride back to my hotel? And my 19-year-old brain was like, this seems legit. And so we get in my van. We stop by my place so I can grab some money. I lived in a place called the Miami Motel.
I was going to
I
ask
know.
if that was at the Miami.
Yeah, I lived in a place called the Miami Motel. Real shithole. They basically
The Miami Hotel
They had
still
like one.
exists.
They had like one dorm set up at this college. It didn't make any fucking sense that they even had dorms, but they had like one dorm set up, and then because it was filled, they overflowed to the Miami.
To the
Right, and
Miami.
so I had like a roommate. We shared a fucking room. It was a real shithole. The guy who owned it, we used to call Crab Claw because he had one of those fucking hands with like two, and he lived above it, right? And so whenever we'd have parties or people over being too loud, there was a light on hit that would turn on, and he'd walk out to his patio, and then we would just see a shadow of a claw. And we were like, "Oh, Crab Claw's back!" And he'd hear us call him that, and he hated my guts. But we would just see the shadow, and we're like, "No!" But so we stop by my place, then we go to his place. He's in there too long, and then he goes, "All right, I need a ride," and I convinced my friend Aaron to come with me. And so me and Aaron hop into Aaron's car. We pick up this guy, older black guy. He's like, "We got to go to Rochester, which is the bigger city, right? It's about 30 minutes away." We're getting weird vibes from this guy. He goes, "All right, give me the money. Let's stop here." And then we stop. And he goes in, and he's there for like 45 minutes. We're like, what the fuck is going on? He's fucking smoking meth. That's what's going on.
Right.
And we're stupid. We're just fucking two
Right,
19-year-old kids trying to
Waiting
get
on your
mushrooms, right?
right.
And so then he comes out. He's cracked out, fucking crazy, right? And then he like kind of shows us a gun, and we're like, oh, shit, we're in trouble.
We done fucked up now.
Yeah, and then he goes, "What do you guys got? Well, I need more money to get these mushrooms." And we're like, "We gave you like the $50. What are you talking?" He goes, "Oh, you gotta have something to sell in here, right?" And then Aaron popped his trunk, and it's just all of his band CDs. And he's like, "What the fuck is this trash? You can't sell that." Yeah, we had like some old Converse in the back, and he's like, "I can't sell any of this stuff." We're like, "We didn't want you to." Like, we're just. And then he literally is like, "I'm driving." And so we're in the fucking back seat. I'm in the back seat. He's in the front. Aaron's in the passenger. This guy's driving around from fucking crack house to crack house, and we're like, "What the fuck do we do?" He's taking the keys inside with him. We're like kidnapped at this point, right? And we're like panicking. We don't have cell phones because we just didn't back then. And we're like, every time he'd get out, we're like, "What the fuck do we do?" And I was like, "I think we should just leave your car. Like, let's just leave." And he's like, No, I can't." And so finally, it's like fucking 1 a.m. We go to Webster. This guy's so fucked up that he finally gets out of the car and leaves the keys.
Well, when did you leave Walmart?
This would have been at fucking noon. This is a kidnapping, dude.
Right.
And you're still clocked in.
Yeah. I'm getting paid $7.50 an hour. But we finally go to this bar at like 1 a.m. He's fucked up enough where when he gets out, he leaves the keys, and I was like, get in the fucking car, and we fucking grabbed it and fucking peeled the fuck out. And then I moved because that dude kept coming to my house and like knocking on the door, and I was too scared. I had my friend who at the time was like a tougher kid. This is when I learned how to be tough.
Who was it?
His name was Mix.
Gotcha.
And he was tough. And when I say he was tough, he owned a knife, and he would always like pull it out on end places. And so for like 3 nights, Mix just came over and stayed at my house. And whenever someone would knock at the door, he'd wait there with the knife out. and so then they hired me back. Still,
They hired you back?
Yeah.
Did you tell them what happened?
No.
What did you tell them was the reason you left?
I don't remember. I wish I could remember.
Let me just take a second real quick. You can't just go back into they brought me back to Walmart.
I know,
I'm still
it was a
recovering
lot.
from the rest of that story.
I know, it was pretty traumatic.
That is
dude.
fucking wild.
Did you get
Nothing
paid for
good
your
has
time?
ever started or finished at the Miami Hotel, by the way. Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Jesus. Do you have any questions, Drew?
Did you get paid? Did you get like paid for your time?
What do you mean, at Walmart?
Yeah.
No, by the meth guy.
Like, well,
did he at least cover
like
the?
when you stayed clocked in, like did you
Oh,
then go
no.
back and clock out?
I
and
clocked
get
out
paid?
at lunch. I
Ah,
clocked out at lunch and then took off.
what a fool's errand.
Yeah. I shouldn't have.
All right, so you went back to
Could have
Walmart
made that money
a
back.
third time,
And then they're
We've
like,
now
yeah.
realized not to leave with random homeless people to get mushrooms.
And they're
in the
like,
middle
hey,
of our
Andrew,
shift."
we're not going to do this again. This is the last time. And then I go, okay. And then I worked there for a month and a half longer. And then I quit and never looked back.
Why
and when
did
I
you
quit,
quit?
my manager called me and goes, hey, I just want you to know that you're not going to be allowed to work at Walmarts again. I was like, oh no. This was the dumbest reason I quit a job and why I got a job is because my buddy Tom lived with me. He did not go to college with me. Sometimes he would come to class with me, but he was not enrolled. Like he would just come and hang out, right? And he lived on my couch, and he didn't want to. He's always been a pretty lazy guy, and never wanted to do a job. And I was like, dude, you got to get a job, man. You got to throw in for bills around here. I'm like, I can't. I've got 2 jobs. I got Walmart and I'm working all the time just to pay our bills and get us drunk. You got to contribute. And he goes, I don't want to do a job without you. And I was like, that's sweet, but I was like, it's harder to apply for jobs when there's 2 of you. You know? But we found McDonald's, and they were like, hell yeah.
We found McDonald's. I like that you guys are like looking for companies like a couple would house shop, like walking around. Here's our budget. We need to make a combined $21,000 a year.
Well, we want
to have weekends off together so that we can get drunk.
We shamed
Those
Tom into
uniforms
getting
are
a
a no
job.
for me.
We had to because we were all tired of him mooching off of us. So we're like, we go to we were eating McDonald's and fast food every day as you do when you're that age, and so we would go through McDonald's, and he goes, Andrew, I'm hungry. You got to feed me. And I was like, nah, I'm not feeding you. And then it turned into a thing. I go, fine, I'll feed you. I got you, man. But you have to eat what I want. And so we would order a double cheeseburger, hold the burger and the cheese, just extra mustard. so we would just feed him fucking bread and mustard and cheese sandwiches and stuff. And we would make him eat whatever we wanted because it was months of him just like mooching off of us, right?
How long was he eating boneless burgers?
I mean, I don't. Honestly, it was probably a week or 2, and then he's like, "Fine, I'll get a job with you."
And did you actually go out together and job hunt together?
We both went to McDonald's. We fucking filled out a thing together. They hired us both right away, and then we worked there. And he quit after 5 days. And then I worked there for a couple months. Yeah, and it was a pretty sweet gig for a 19-year-old drug addict.
What'd you do at McDonald's?
What didn't I do, dude?
Yeah, I have no idea. So I asked you. I
did
have
it all,
no fucking
dude.
idea.
Mostly did.
You think I know what goes on at McDonald's?
I mostly did cocaine out of parliaments. I would literally go to the bathroom and I would I would load up my cigarettes before I went to work with cocaine. I would go to the bathroom. I'd go, and then I'd come out and I'm like, let's flip these burgers. And I would just do that shit. And I used to hit on these twins that worked there. They were so cute, and
Was it the Golden Arches?
No. They were blondes, but they were they were too pretty to work at McDonald's, but I think their parents made them or whatever.
What's the bar for too pretty to work at McDonald's? I feel like that's a low.
I think
They had all
low bar.
I think one arm, two arms,
Two arms?
two arms,
Yeah,
two
yeah.
arms, two tits.
Definitely.
I think that's probably the.
Hold
you
on,
know.
between
So
them
you were
or-
too hot to work at McDonald's.
I was way too hot for
two
McDonald's.
arms, two tits.
dude.
Checks out.
But they always work. Their shifts were always together, and I would always hit on them, and they were always just like so annoyed by everybody.
You and Tom should have tried to convince them that you were also twins who had to always work together.
Yeah.
You had a great premise for a movie.
Yeah.
Did
but-
you ever get anywhere with them?
No.
No?
They were really stuck up, and I was like, "You work at McDonald's too?"
Yeah, but
Like,
they were the
you know?
best looking girls at McDonald's.
Yeah, for
top-notch
sure.
McDonald's girls. Did
For
they go
sure.
to FLCC?
I don't really remember anything about them besides in my brain I can see how they look, and I remember them being like, ugh, all the time. You know what I mean?
Just over it.
Just over it. I think like they lived at home with their parents still, but they like made them get jobs or something like that.
Gotcha.
It was something where they didn't need the job, but they were like they had
For sure.
And I was like, I need this job and my other job.
So what happened at McDonald's? How long did you work there?
A few months. You can't work at McDonald's for that long.
Any memorable quitting story or anything memorable happened?
I just remember doing cocaine out of Parliaments.
Gotcha.
That's the main thing, and then flipping burgers fast.
Definitely.
Literally, what I remember is just doing that.
Why parliaments?
Because they had
They
the
had
little
the thing.
recessed filters, so you could fill them with cocaine. That's I thought everyone. Have you never smoked a Parliament?
Yeah, I thought that's what it was for.
I've never
Yeah,
smoked
yeah.
a cigarette.
Parliaments are like the known for.
Right, for people doing
To
coke
doing
with
drugs.
them.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
why Andrew just said the filter has a little gap in it that's about a millimeter.
What the hell? I tell you about a boogie. I'm sitting here with a boogie the whole time. You don't
Yeah,
try
but
to
I
run
thought
it.
it was cool. I thought we were both just rolling off of our own
God
preferences.
damn it! All right, let's
I thought
start.
you
We
were
treated each
Start
other
it
how-
over.
I thought
Start it
you'd been
over.
smoking Parliament.
We were treating each other how we wanted to be treated.
gotta-
I would want you not to tell me I had a booger.
We got to start over.
Let's start the whole thing over.
Hi guys, welcome back to I Just Work Here. I'm Jesse James.
I'm Andrew Youngblood.
I used to work with my dad in the summers.
Holding his flashlight for him. God damn it, quit shaking. I'm almost
Dude,
done.
You're giving me flashbacks. They're literally, I would hold his flashlight and he'd be like, "Hold it still, damn it!"
Oh, no, I said
was
his flashlight.
I know.
Okay,
I know.
okay.
Yeah, I ignored
That's
that.
not 10 millimeters.
Dude, my dad wishes there was a flashlight back then, dude.
That's what your job was.
Yeah,
So the next job we got on the list, Kirby Vacuum.
yeah.
Kirby Vacuum.
I did that for years.
What is that? What do you mean Kirby Vacuum?
I sold door-to-door vacuums for years, dude.
You sold door-to-door vacuums.
I'm talking
for
knocking
years?
on doors, getting a sales pitch, dude. I still remember this sales.
How did
pitch.
you get in that job?
Because I had moved back to New York, right? And my friends had gotten a house in Rochester, and it was going to make it so rent was $400 a month. They're like, Youngblood, we want you to live with us. And I was like, I'm broke, I can't. They're like, just come back, we'll give you 2 months free, and then just find a job. And I go, sounds good, man. And so I moved back. I answer a ad in a newspaper that says clean carpets for $400 a week, and I was like, $400 a week. That's some real money. It kind of was for
Back then, for
1920,
sure.
like 19. That's 20 years ago, right? And so at 19, that was fucking awesome. Like, and I was like, hell yeah! I go in there. It's a complete sales pitch. They're like, hey, you're gonna sell vacuums door to door, and I was like, ugh. But I was so hard up for a job at that point that I was like, I'll fucking do anything.
What was the pitch? Like,
Oh, dude, it's tough. The hardest part
we're
about
we're in the house.
the
knock the door.
The hardest part was getting in the door, right? And I wonder if I would probably fuck it up a little bit, but it was basically I'd be like, all right, you can be the bitch.
Yes, hi. I'm a huge bitch. I'm here to sell you a vacuum.
Wait, no, hold on. I was like, why are you knocking? I'm knocking on your door.
You said I was the bitch.
in the house fine. Anyways, all right, let's give it a shot.
Hello. Who's this?
Hi, is your husband home?
Oh yes. Let me go get him real quick.
No.
Yes, hello. Do you have any vacuums today?
No.
God, that's an easy job.
that's piss
I'd like
easy.
to
No,
buy
dude.
all of your vacuums right now.
It was a crazy pitch. These things were like $2,000.
What was the pitch?
But to get in, it would be like, I'd be like, they'd be like, hello, what do you want? I'd be like, hi, my name's Andrew. I'm just out here cleaning carpets in the neighborhood for free. You don't have to buy anything. I actually, I get college credit just to do it. And so it costs you absolutely nothing. So if you could just let me in for like 20, 30 minutes, if you have any stains or anything that could be removed, I'll get them removed for you. Again, you don't have to pay anything, and I get college credit just to do it. And then I would shut up.
Is that true?
That was a pretty good pitch, I thought,
That's
right?
pretty good.
Yeah.
And then you just shut the fuck up. And no, did I get college credit? No. I dropped out of college years ago.
No.
Not years, but, a year ago, right? And then I would just sit there and wait for them to be like, fine. And then you go in there and you clean this big of a fucking carpet spot, for them. But you do that over an hour while you're like, ew, look at this. You guys are disgusting. And you're like shaming, and you're like, it's not your fault. Most vacuums, they only clean at the surface. The Kirby's, with its motor and close to the ground, it actually gets deep down to the floorboards. And you got a mattress I can clean, and then you take over the mattress, and you're like, look at all these skin cells. This is disgusting. And you basically shame these people into thinking they're disgusting. And you're like, anyways, so normally it's $2,000, but for you guys, I can do a couple things. We got a promotion going on, and it's going to be $18.99. And they're like, I can't afford that. And I go, you can pretty much afford it. Let's figure this out. How many dollars a day would it be worth to have your house clean and get rid of all these dead skin cells so you don't have to sleep on that every day? And they're like, I don't know. Like, would you say $1 to $2 a day? That'd be pretty fair. And then they'd be like, oh, yeah. And I was like, so we can get your payments around $60 a month. That's pretty good, right? And they'd be like, oh, yeah. And then I would be like, all right, so this is what we can do. And the fucked up thing is it started at $2,000. You could sell them for $7.99.
Right,
So,
right.
But I would make anything over $7.99.
Right.
And so I got pretty good at it. And I ended up they sent me to Vegas, all expensive paid trip because I was one of the top sellers.
What was the Vegas Kirby conference like?
No, it wasn't a conference. These are all the top earners got to go.
Oh, okay.
So there was an award show,
Right.
right? You'd get an awards, there'd be games, you'd get they give out a free car and nonsense. But you would you would also just party as the Hard Rock. I went there 1 week before my 21st birthday.
Really?
It was fucking shitty. I got
sucks.
kicked out of so many casinos. It's they just kicked me out.
Did you find any place to drink the whole time you were there?
Oh, no. I mean, I was at, Vegas is all mini bars. So I was just
Definitely.
getting hammered because they were covering it all. And then my boss always like, your mini bar was really expensive. And I was like, dude, I remember the first night I was there. They take you to a really fancy fucking dinner. This is the best pizza I ever had. It was like a white clam pizza. Fucking awesome. But I smoked a lot of weed back then. And I remember I had a balcony, and then, when you open it up, there's the balcony basically right next door. There was someone on their honeymoon. And I smelled weed, and I walked out there. I go, let me see if I can get some of this weed. And I go, oh, man, that smells good, guys. And they're like, oh, you want some? And then they hand me, the smallest roach ever. And they're like, oh man, we're sorry, we don't have it. And they're like, come to the conjoining door, right? And so I open the conjoining door, and they give me a bunch of edibles, and they're like, be careful with these. I go, I smoke weed, I'm fine. And so I popped 2 of these edibles, and then I got a dinner with my boss and all the other good salespeople. And so we go to this fancy dinner, and I'm so fucking high. And normally I'm joking and a presence, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm like this. I'm just like. And then my boss goes, Andrew, what's wrong with you? There's something wrong. And I couldn't think of anything, any good lies. So the lie I came up with was, I'm just so drunk right now. I was like, I'm hammered at this work thing. That's better than saying I'm high.
I'm high as fuck. I took some edibles from the strangers that were banging next door through the shared door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Did you get away with it?
Yeah, they didn't fire me. I was a good salesman. That's the thing is with Kirby vacuums, dude, the turnover rate on that job was 1 out of every 30 people would stick around for a month. And then they would be gone after 2 months. I ended up I did that job for 3 to 4 years.
3 to 4 years?
Dude, I mean, I was making 50 to 60K when I was 20.
Oh, shit.
And that's back 20 years ago. That's fucking awesome.
Right. That's great.
And so I had never had money like that before. And there was also a camaraderie you would get with the people in the van, because there's a team leader who would drive your ass around all day, drop you off on streets. And so it was always a competition who sold the most vacuums. And then once you were selling vacuums, it became you were the guy. You know, so like we would fuck around with the new people. We were like, you're a loser, broke bitch.
We're bullying the other door-to-doors.
Yeah. But we would like do that, and then they would get their first sale, and we're like, hell yeah! And then they were part of like the team. It was like a hazing kind of thing.
Definitely.
You know? It was just like a team, and and then some of those became my best friends. You know. Couple of them came down here for my wedding when I got married, and so like it's I'm still friends with those. Every time I go back to Rochester, there's two guys I hit up. I'm like, you guys want to go to the bar, have a drink, we'll laugh about this.
What do they do for work now?
One of them sells rainbow vacuums, and the other one I'm not sure what he does.
Gotcha.
I have no ideas. I have no idea. It's Rochester, so I can't imagine it's great.
So this actually sounds like the first job that you like, that you're fond of. You're enjoying the
liked
work.
it.
You like the people you're working with. You like the challenge of the work.
It helped me come out of my shell too, dude, because I don't think I would be able to do stand up if I didn't do that, because that made it so I could talk in front of people. And before, it would be very nerve-wracking talking in front of people. But when you're lugging around a fucking vacuum trying to get into someone's house because it's cold,
Right.
and you're just trying to like sell because you're like, I got to make rent, and you're doing this whole performance for 5 kids and a mom and the grandma and all that shit, it gets easier,
Right.
You know, because I was doing an hour and a half, and was it stand-up? No, but I was doing an hour and a half presentation, and I had built-in jokes throughout the way.
Right.
So it was my first.
What was one of your absolute bangers during the vacuum presentation?
Oh no! You know what would work every time, especially if there were kids. You know, because you had this little. You wouldn't put the bag on.
Pretend to put your dick in the vacuum.
You wouldn't put the bag on the vacuum, right? They'd be these little like pads that you would put in there, and then you'd vacuum for a second, then you'd open it up and you'd show them the pad. And so whenever there was kids around, I would open it up, and after they'd be covered in fucking gnarly dirt, and I would look at the kids and I'd be like, ew, like fucking earnest. I was just like, and then they would all fucking laugh, and then fucking the parents would, yeah. Well, then you're it's that
Once
whole
you have the kids, you got the parents.
Exactly.
You're good to go.
Yeah.
You got to get the kids excited about buying a new vacuum.
Yeah.
There had to be some weird sales pitches. You're going in all these strangers' houses.
If there was like a guy who was balding and he was in a good he was like a good fucking mood or whatever, you know, it pulled up a lot of hair. I'd be like, "Is this yours?" Like shit like that, you know. It was just shaming these people. That's all it was.
Yeah.
One time I split my pants. Like I was,
As
you know,
a goof?
No, it was I didn't know the whole time.
You kids ready for this?
This vacuum's so powerful, it
It's
rips
that-
my pants in half.
It's that fucking SpongeBob episode. What's it? It's just like a song. It's like I ripped my pants or whatever.
How'd you rip your pants?
Yeah, my fucking pants were just too tight. They were like dressed. I had to wear a suit, and, not a suit, but I had to wear like a tie.
Business
button up.
casual.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And yeah. I don't know, man. I think back on that experience pretty fondly. It was a lot. I do think it's a cult once you get into it too much, you know. But it's something that I do.
Do you have
look
any
back
bad
fondly.
memories of that work?
Oh, I mean the hours, dude. Sometimes it'd be fucking 14-hour days because you drive out to like fucking some suburb or like 3 hours. We're in Rochester. We'd go out to like Batavia, which was like 2 hours or
Right.
something away. And so you get there at 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. You do a sales meeting, then you get in the car. You go all the way out to Batavia, 2 hours. You work until 9 p.m. You knock doors until 9, and then you drive back. So then by the time you get back, sometimes if you guys are all fucking around, it'd be fucking 1 a.m, and then you're like, well, this sucks. My whole days was this, you know. But it was a fun atmosphere. I enjoyed working there. So those guys became my friends, you know. And we would all go party at my house afterwards, anyways, you know.
Definitely. Guys, it's been Andrew Youngblood, Drew Hollway, Brandon Clements, and I'm your host, Jesse James. This is I Just Work Here.
You're the expert. I just work here. Looks pretty solid.
I just work here.
Listen, I just work here.
I didn't pick you. I just work here.